So
right?
I saw Glenn Greenwald was interviewed on The Hill yesterday, and one of the questions for him was, how do you translate this unrest or this public uprising into actual political change? Is Biden going to be forced into signing single payer health care, even though he said he would veto it before? I mean, is there opportunity for real change would actually start shifting the economy in a different direction that might help ameliorate some of these, um, uh, alienated populations that would feel like, okay, now I feel I have more of a stake in the system. Um,
Wait. Before you go into that, can I just make a quick statement real quick that how sad is this that in November in November our choices really are Biden and Trump. Think about
Right.
what we're going through right now, and that those two are our choices. That is nuts.
Right.
Really, really
I know
crazy.
it. Well, I've been posting. I've been posting it. Think of what's happening in the moment with people suffering from getting, authoritarian militarization, getting attacked by rubber bullets and all that. And Tulsi Gabbard actually stood at Standing Rock with protesters that dealt with, attacks by water cannons and freezing temperatures and rubber bullets. And Biden was part of the administration that allowed that to go on because big oil. And then we have Obama, who brags about we have oil independence. Isn't that great?
We're just gonna see how it turns out. Let it play out. That's what.
Yeah, man.
That's really crazy to me that those are our two options. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's horrific.
And also, I don't know about Tulsi being a leader right now, but I do know that Yang actually came out with some solutions, and he sounds like he's listening to the demands of the people, and he actually did come out with a pretty good plan. So I think that should be touted. I think that's something to raise.
So you're talking about universal basic income?
You're talking about policing, or
about policing.
Okay.
He was talking
about
creating like a federal commission, I think it was going to be like the George Floyd Commission, where they it's a commission that.
Here's my previous opinion on that kind of thing,
but great.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
How about putting civilians and people of color, on the commissions that run these police departments? Just like in Germany.
That's part of what.
Well, good, because in Germany, you have to have workers, and a large number of workers on boards of corporations. Like, it's just required by law. And Germany is not doing too badly economically. I mean, their economy, like their companies really function well, but they have that. They have to, by law, they have to have worker representation and union representation on their boards.
Are you talking about boards that oversee the police that would do disciplinary functions and so forth?
Well, I mean, in the German case, I'm talking about corporations, but I'm talking
about this potential solution.
Yeah, I mean, right. The idea is that, like, let's say you have a complaint against a police officer that they're using excessive force, whatever, that you'd have a commission or the investigative group would involve some non-police entities in that group. So it would not just be seen as a total internal, whitewash job. It would actually be seen as somewhat, nonpartisan, objective, that you'd have other parties involved, because we don't have that right now.
Not too far removed from what I talked about last week in the Legislative Week in Review about the FISA court, right? About how that's one of the things that they were fighting for, was having that third party there, that independent party who is supposed to represent the people when they are presenting their case, when the FBI and what was it? Is it the NSA or
NSA
or the Department of Justice, whatever? That when they are presenting their case to the judge, you need to have somebody there to be able to advocate for you. And this is kind of the same situation where how are you going to have these police that are investigating themselves. It does not make sense.
Well, you have to have real
Yeah.
representation, not token representation, not just like,
Yeah.
one or two people in there. You
They
have to
should
have
be
real
elected.
power.
They should be elected.
Now, you still would have the problem with the blue wall, like cops not telling each other. But these days, with people having cameras ubiquitously, right? I mean, you're gonna have evidence of wrongdoing, like we saw in the George Floyd case. You're gonna have that from now on, I think.
But what we've seen historically now, well, now this is actually changing things, right? But historically, they have, even if they've been arrested, they have not been charged. They have not been convicted with things. That is the problem, the fact that they may put on this show of arresting. Well,
they get suspended with pay,
or they get fired. But you should be able to. You should have to pay. You should have to be brought to justice the same way that a regular citizen would. Just because you are a police officer doesn't give you that immunity. It doesn't make you this untouchable. And that is the problem, that when people feel like they are untouchable, because again, historically speaking, that's what's happened, is that cops, they get away with this type of brutality. And so, and like, even though the whole thing with Ahmaud Arbery, how long was it that video, the only reason why it actually got brought to justice, or those two men were actually brought in, was because of the fact that video was circulating and became viral. Had it not become viral, Ahmaud Arbery would just be another statistic.
Yeah.